Hey everyone! So for this presentation, I'm going to be talking about supporting unhoused populations in the Shoals area. And for this project, I partnered with Shoals Somatics and Personal Training and Home Free Haven. So Shoals Somatics and Personal Training, please ignore the noise in the background. That's my cat running around. So Shoals Somatics and Personal Training is a woman-owned and operated independent LLC located in Florence, Alabama. They provide trauma-informed personal training and somatic sessions. They also provide free somatic sessions to members of the community as well as free women's support groups. I think right now it's quarterly, but they're looking to increase the volume by doing about once a month. I'm not exactly sure when that's going to happen though. And they are an active and well-known organization in the community. It was really nice to get to work with this organization, especially since it's only really one person running it currently. So I got to learn a lot. Now, for this project, I was working directly with Shoals Somatics and Personal Training. However, we were collaborating and hosting the fundraiser, running this entire thing for Home Free Haven. So Home Free Haven is a 501c3 nonprofit organization in the Shoals area, and their mission is to provide shelter, support, and hope to the unhoused and underserved individuals in the Shoals. They are collaborative and community focused. They focus on trauma-informed, person-centered approaches for community interventions. So their primary goals are to meet people where they are when they're working with the unhoused and unserved populations in the area. They also teach them how to navigate resources and provide those resources and support. So by doing things like providing guidance and mentoring, resources and additional information and practical assistance for gathering and gaining access to housing, healthcare, job opportunities, and addiction treatment, as well as other essential services. They provide a targeted support. Excuse me. They provide targeted support. So they like to really focus on having volunteers and employees of this organization offer individualized support. So working one-on-one with a member of the community to help empower them and also like get to the underlying causes of like what's going on, how they ended up in whatever situation they're in. That way they can provide like a tailored support. So this is the Shoals area. You can't really see, sorry, my little video bubble is blocking one of these, but the Shoals area is not just one town in this community. So the Shoals comprises of 4 cities within Lauderdale and Colbert County. So you have Florence, which is the largest city in the area with about a little over 40,000 just within city limits. And that is in Lauderdale County. That is the seat of the county. And then you have 3 other smaller towns across the river in Colbert County. And they're like all 4 of these cities are within 5 miles of each other. So this organization, Home Free Haven, provides support to all of these within the Shoals area. And the other 3 are Muscle Shoals, Sheffield, and Tuscumbia. The average poverty rate for the 4 cities is about 18.6%. Breaking that down even more, you have about 19.3% in the city of Florence. You have 19% in Tuscumbia. Sheffield has the highest rate of poverty at 25.7%, and Muscle Shoals has the lowest at 10.4%. Those are kind of important to know. Sheffield is one of the most underserved and poorest communities in the Quad Cities area, whereas Muscle Shoals is more affluent. They have a smaller population, but that population makes a lot more money, and it's also a lot smaller of an area, whereas the other 3 are larger and older communities. Muscle Shoals has kind of grown very rapidly within the past like 15 to 20 years. So some other really cool things about the Shoals area is we already have the pre-established like unhoused support organization, Home Free Haven. We've had a couple others come through. Room at the Inn was one of them. They are no longer in operation. However, the people who used to run it now work with Home Free Haven and other organizations in the area. Advantages in this area are high rates of community organization and support. So there are a lot of organizations that, especially nonprofit organizations and care organizations, that are willing to collaborate with you and work together, as well as different churches and things like that. So there's a lot of support in the area for that. Some of the disadvantages in this area is there, on an individual level, there's a huge amount of distrust and stigma around unhoused populations. We've had an increase in our unhoused populations within the past, I would probably say, since prior to COVID, so the past 5 to 8 or 9 years. 2016, 2017 was when we had a huge increase in the unhoused population. And while there are a lot of businesses and organizations and individuals in the community that do support Home Free Haven and organizations like that, there are also several that do not. So it makes it kind of hard to have everybody on the same page. So some of the objectives for this fundraiser, my primary objectives were to collaborate with Home Free Haven, Shoals Somatics, and the unhoused population to create a comprehensive needs list. That way Home Free Haven could use it on their website and, send that out whenever they have needs for different individuals in the community, and to organize a collections drive for that needs list. My secondary objective was to create various drop locations for easy access throughout the Shoals area. My goal for that was to provide our unhoused population a little bit more autonomy and access to things if they're not able to get on a bus or make and travel that distance to where all of the resources are at Home Free Haven. So that's kind of my major goal out of this, but I'm not sure how well that will work. My project timeline. So initially I wanted to determine organizational interest for fundraiser partnerships. So that was me trying to figure out, one, who I was going to be working with. So eventually we decided it was going to be Shoals Somatics, and then determining who we wanted to partner with and collaborate with to create a fundraiser. After that, we had several planning sessions throughout this, and this finalized our objectives, goals, budget, and stakeholders. We completed a comprehensive needs list and finalized the community partners after that. Created fundraising flyer options for organizational approval, distributed the media to community partners and throughout the community. Once all of that was done, we started the Help Us Help Them fundraiser, which was a month-long fundraiser, and it was throughout the entire Quad Cities, the Shoals area. And then halfway through the fundraiser, we decided to check in on the partners for it, see if they needed anything, needed any additional media posts, things like that. And then once it concluded, so that concluded on the 7th, we created a list of all of the proceeds, sent in all of the donations, and just kind of kept track of how much we actually got in. That way we can see what it's utilized for and how to send that out to people so they know what they're donating. So this is the original version of our media release. So this is for the Help Us Help Them fundraiser. Some of the feedback I got from not only our instructor, but Home Free Haven and Shoals Somatics as well, was it did not include any information about Home Free Haven or Shoals Somatics. It just kind of had their names up there. There was no information about how the donations would be used, and there was no real way for us to keep track of the donations because everything was going directly to Home Free Haven if you used their PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App, which was going to make it kind of difficult for us to figure out like who got what, who sent what, if they needed to have receipts, things like that. So went back to the drawing board and created a new flyer, the final version of the flyer. And this is kind of like what kicked off our fundraising event. So on the flyer at the top, it tells you to join Shoals Somatics and Personal Training to raise money for Home Free Haven. So it just explains what Shoals Somatics was doing, things like that. At the bottom, it explains what Home Free Haven is and how the donations would be used. We also created a Venmo account specific for this fundraiser. That way we could keep track of everything and make it a little bit easier. We made sure to denote that all proceeds would be donated directly to Home Free Haven. We did a social media campaign on Facebook and Instagram to let people know what was going on. And then some of our community partners were several of the local churches that Home Free Haven has worked with previously, several local coffee shops. One of the local coffee shops, Rivertown, is a huge supporter of our unhoused population and usually will do a t-shirt every year for Rivertown Larry, who is somebody who is part of our unhoused community, and all proceeds will go to him and help support him. Some of our local bars, also our community partners, the Grief Support Center, the Healing Place in Muscle Shoals, as well as the Florence and Tuscumbia Public Library. Some of the issues that I encountered initially were just trying to find partners to volunteer with. It was really hard at the beginning of the semester to find someone who was able to and willing to work with me, just because there was so much happening in the area that they just did not have time to train anybody for volunteer work. And wasn't able to complete like a comprehensive needs list because that had already been done by an intern in the previous semester. So I kind of was just going off of that. For the fundraising event, there was a lot of things that affected donations, such as storms, other fundraising events going on at the same time, and our current political climate made people really like wary of donating. And one of the big issues that we didn't even think about was no monetary goal was initially set, which didn't really give people like, oh, we need to get to $500 or whatever. That was an issue that people kind of had and gave us that feedback for. Determining success for this. So I determined success for this with just being able to collaborate with Home Free Haven and Shoals Somatics, so building that community, creating the comprehensive needs list. So that was a success, but also not, because although I did not complete it, I was able to review it and revise it a little bit to help them out. I was unable to involve community members to gather supplies on the needs list because it was an entirely monetary fundraiser, and we did not get a chance to create any drop locations for the unhoused population, but that is something that we're wanting to work on. So additional information for this. If you'll follow the link provided in the Harmonize post and in the YouTube description, you can find out more about Home Free Haven and just what they do in the Shoals area. Thank you so much.